Welcome back to the business series, starting a jewelry business from scratch. I have no knowledge of making jewelry, no knowledge of starting a business, and I'm documenting the entire process of that journey. This is episode 3.5. There are 3 episodes before this, so feel free to watch those before watching this one. Episode 3.5 is supposed to bridge the gap between episodes 3 and 4, give a little bit more context as to why it's taken me so long to upload episode 3 and what's to come in episode 4. So this episode is going to kind of bridge the gap for those two. So to immediately address the elephant in the room, episodes 2 and 3 were recorded in 2025. They were supposed to both release in 2025, and technically speaking, this was supposed to be around the time frame that I would have an episode 4, but I did enroll in school to get my A&P license, and I'm still currently doing that, so that does take up the majority of my time. However, I'm not entirely, stopping the jewelry business. This is still something that I want to do and pursue. So episode 3 was filmed back in around September of 2025. I was supposed to upload it around October or November of last year. I just never got around to it, and that's why it was uploaded just a couple days ago at the time of this recording, which today it is March 29th, 2026. So before I get into more of the details of today's episode, I really want to reiterate the purpose of this business, why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just want to help you understand what's going on in my mind, kind of. Back in episode 1, I kind of broke this down, and essentially I just had a spark to kind of try my own thing, try to see if I can make my own source of income, so to speak. I don't know if that's quite the correct way to put it, but I know that there are people out there, and I know there's probably somebody experiencing this right now. If you're watching this video and you're experiencing right now, like I was in the position of, you're laying down in bed and you're just kind of looking up at the ceiling and you're thinking like, is this all life is? Is it just going through the motions? You go to work, go to school, you drive back home, you eat, and maybe you go to the gym, maybe you go for a run, and then you just come back, take a shower, go to bed, repeat the same thing the next day. So I just had an urge to want to break that cycle because, I currently live that cycle, and I've lived that cycle for the majority of my life. I'm only 24 years old, and for the first 18 years of your life, you're really like, that's pretty much all your life is. So I have like a sense of urgency. I don't know, it's just this innate feeling that I have inside of me that says there's got to be more to this. You should try to do more than what you're just doing right now. And I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling. So moving on into the reason why I'm documenting this entire process, I'm really trying to show the reality of what it takes or what it's like to start something from complete scratch. Like I keep saying that, and it's true. Like I don't know anything about jewelry making. I don't know anything about starting a business. Well, I'm figuring it out as I go. So that's a little bit like I do know what's going on, but it's because I've been staying at it. But I'm documenting that process. That's the whole point of this YouTube channel, is to document that series. Or I guess that's the whole point of the business series, is to document this whole process. You have like people online, you have so many fucking people online, these gurus that are like, oh, buy my course and I'll teach you how to make $1 million in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. I'll teach you how to make $10,000 in a fucking week. So, and like these guru people, they're like crypto people, they're stock traders, they're Amazon FBA people, or drop shippers. I think there's a couple others to that list, but the thing that I don't like about that is I feel like it's very disingenuous, in my opinion. I really think they're trying to sell you the dream of becoming rich, and I will be honest, I did try looking into those outlets. So like, I didn't do Amazon FBA, but I did try doing drop shipping, and I just realized like, this isn't really for me. I don't want to do this. This is kind of stupid, in my opinion. Same thing with like the crypto people or the day traders. Like, it's just not for me. Like, it might be easy for some people, it might come natural and like just like, oh dude, this is so easy, how could you not do this? It's just not for me, man. Like, so it's a little bit of a paradox for me to say like, I'm doing this for financial freedom, but I'm trying to chase that through an outlet that also makes me feel fulfilled. So it's not all just about the money. It's about building something that has meaning to you. Right before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, the one thing that I want to say to you, the viewer, the consumer, is if you want to follow everything that I'm doing to a T, go for it. But don't do it. And here's what I mean by that. What I'm doing makes sense for me. There's just something in my mind that tells me keep doing this jewelry business thing and it's gonna work out. Like, I had the spark of like, oh, let me do this jewelry business because I saw a video and I looked into it, and as I started doing more research and started doing actual tangible things during my proof of concept phase, I realized, like, you know what, I think I can make this work. So there's something that's just continuing to drive me to do this. So it just makes sense for me, and that's why I tell you to not do it. Don't do what I'm doing. I really highly recommend that you find something that's, I guess we'll just say unique. Well, something that's unique to you, something that is coded to your personality, to who you are as a person. I think that's what I want to say. Okay. Moving on. So during the proof of concept phase, it actually worked, and I showed it in episode 3. I'll show it here too. But I do have a framed dollar, and this is a physical proof of concept that the business that I'm going to pursue does work. And essentially, the proof of concept is supposed to show and prove, can I create a piece of jewelry, polish it, make it look nice, post it online, and then sell it? Can I make money off of this? That was essentially the proof of concept phase, and I was able to make a couple sales, and that's why I framed the first dollar. It's a physical proof of concept. This does have meaning. This does work for me. So that's why I'm continuing on to pursue this jewelry business. And I will be honest, I did say that I make money, or that I've made money, but I'm still technically like $1,000 in the hole with all the materials that I bought, with the printer that I bought, with everything that has been purchased. I'm still in the negative, but I'm still pursuing that. I'm still pursuing this despite that. Here's where the bottleneck of that is. During the proof of concept phase, I had purchased the Elegoo Mars 5 Ultra. Not a sponsored advert, but I had bought this machine because you can make 3D models out of wax resin and then take those models to get casted. I do not have the means to have my own casting setup, so I had to drive approximately 45 minutes to a casting house that I found in my city, and I found a guy who would do the castings for me. There's some people that were like, oh, I'm not gonna do the castings for you, it's a conflict of interest for me, or they were just charging way too fucking much per piece. Whenever I found my guy to do my castings for me, he just threw out, or he would charge me like $100 to $120 depending on how many pieces I had. So I had to take 10 pieces at bare minimum to keep the cost around anywhere from like $8 to $12 a piece. And that was a huge bottleneck, because not only did I have to pay like $100, but I also had to wait like 3 to 4 days in order to have these pieces casted. Like, I just had to wait for this guy to do it, and I would have to make that trip. I would have to make that same two-way trip again. 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, wait a couple days, and then 45 minutes there, pick up the pieces, 45 minutes back, and then I could finally do my polishing and then my post-processing. But that just takes time, so it just sucked. I just did not like that. So I kind of slowed down. I only made 2 batches, In episode 2, in episode 2 of the business series, I did show the, not the casting process, but I showed that how I had the wax pieces and then the jewelry pieces. And I don't know if I have any right here. These are just scraps. Here's the sprue tree. Dropped it. Here's the sprue tree that the guy uses. So he puts the pieces on here and he flips it upside down and then casts it. So I just have some pieces in here that aren't really that great. They're a little bit, they're just not great. There's a bunch of holes in them. They don't look nice, so I can't really sell them. But here is a perfect example just to kind of show you guys. So here's what the wax resin model looks like. Let's see if I can get it to focus. So here's what the wax resin model looks like. See, it's just a simple little 3D print. And then here's what it looks like when it's casted. So I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but if you look really closely, you can see there's a bunch of like pits in it, and it just does not look nice, so I can't really sell that. And that's another thing too, like I'm paying, like that piece cost me $10 to cast, right? And it doesn't always come out the way that I want it, and that's something that makes me lose money. Before we go into the pivot portion, during the proof of concept phase, I realized that rings did not sell. So during the 2 batches or the 2 runs that I made to get jewelry casted, I made probably like 15 rings, 20 rings, and then I made around the same amount of pendants, 20 pendants, and I would put them on necklaces and then sell them. During that phase, the proof of concept, I realized that rings are harder to sell and they're harder to manufacture, or not harder to manufacture, but you have to make 10 size 9 rings, 10 size 8 rings, 10 size 7 rings. So it's just like, it's a lot of resources for not a lot of guaranteed sales. So I realized that pendants, charms, or necklaces are just easier to manufacture, they're easier to sell. So that's why I am effectively making my business into a charm, necklace, jewelry brand at first. Eventually I will want to get into custom work. Eventually I will bring rings back, but it's just not in the cards for the start, just for right now, essentially. So with that pivot of making purely chains, necklaces, charms, pendants, whatever, I was thinking, what am I going to buy that allows me to create pieces that don't look like crap, that consistently give me good pieces? What machine is going to consistently give me good pieces? And then I came across the X2 F2 Ultra. It's a laser cutter. It is powerful. It can punch through metal. It can punch through a bunch of other materials. I think like wood. I don't know about acrylic. I think it's just like, I think it's an engraver. Well, not I think. I know it's an engraver. But here's the thing. The machine is expensive. It is really expensive, and it can cut through silver and it can cut through gold. But the problem with that is that you have to have it running at 100% a lot of the time, or you have to have it running at 100% power all of the time. And although the machine can do that, it's not its sole purpose. It's not what it was designed to do. It was designed to engrave, and it was designed to maybe do some light cutting. So I thought to myself, you know, this isn't feasible. I can use this machine. It would minimize the amount of silver that I had to clean up, or the amount of precious metal that I would have to like it would essentially like minimize the amount of metal that I have to reconstitute whenever I would make the cutouts. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, like this is great, but it's really expensive, and I just don't think it's healthy for the machine to be running at 100% all the time, because I would pretty much only be using it to cut metal. I mean, I would use it like the engraving feature, but the primary role of that machine would be to cut the metal, and that's just not going to be good. It puts a lot of wear and strain on that machine. And the one machine that I did come across was the Makera Carvera CNC machine. So this company makes a desktop CNC machine that can run in your room, and it does what it says. It cuts metal. It cuts sheets of metal, or it cuts whatever you want. So rather than engraving the pieces, or I guess rather than laser cutting the pieces, the router would cut the metal, and that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to cut metal. It's designed to work with a range of materials. So this is obviously the clear winner. And I was going to do their flagship model, the Makera Carvera, but it is just as expensive as the F2 Ultra, so I opted for the Air version instead, the Makera Carvera Air. It does the same exact thing. The only difference between the two, well, there's more differences, but the main difference is that one of them has an automatic tool changer and the other one is a manual tool changer. But I mean, I'm pretty much going to be with the machine the entire time that it's operating, so it's not really that much of a hassle for me. Before I hint at or tease at for episode 4, the blueprint for my business is as follows. I'm essentially trying to sell the truth, is what I'm trying to do. My whole thing is going to be radical transparency, showing the process of how I make my jewelry, showing the process of why I price, or like why I'm pricing what I'm pricing. As explained, I think you believe it was in episode 3, that as a consumer myself, as someone who purchases things also, the one thing that I really appreciate in manufacturers, or just when I buy something, is the transparency of pricing. Why am I paying you this amount? Are you just upcharging me because you have a brand name, or are you upcharging me because the materials and the quality of the product directly reflect the price? So I'm essentially trying to capture the essence of radical transparency, and I was able to come up with a slogan for my business. So the name of my business is Superstar Industries, and the slogan is Precision Forged in Truth. With that said, my pricing model used to be a 2x only model, and I would literally only charge the casting cost plus the intrinsic value of the piece itself. So for an example, let's say, I'll just use this one. So this MF Doom ring that I have right here. Let's say that this thing cost $10 to cast, and it's $5 in silver. So that's $15, right? I should charge labor, I should add overhead cost, but I wasn't doing that during the proof of concept phase. So I would only charge $30 to sell the piece, and in reality, I probably only made like a couple bucks, and I really should have been charging more, but I just didn't really know what to charge or how to charge. But now I'll have to include the labor, I'll have to include obviously the value of the metal itself and what it costs to just make in general. So moving from the old 2x model, I'm going to move to a 3x pricing model. This will finally take into account everything that comes with creating a product, you know, the material cost, the overhead, and the labor of, you know, creating that model in a software, then taking it and watching it and making sure, you know, like the operating costs essentially. So my goal for this whole next phase is to hit net zero. So like I said, I'm like pretty much still $1,000 in the hole, and I'm about to go even further into the hole, so to speak. I'm buying the machine, and my total investment is probably going to be well over $4,000. This is gonna suck. I don't know. Like, I'm a little bit scared at this point, I will be honest, but I think it'll work out in the end. As of right now, I do have a DBA registered. I did open a business account. I did get a card for the business, and I have a website built for this. The last thing that I need to do is just purchase everything and then learn how to use the machine, but that'll be for episode 4. Episode 4 is actually going to include the unboxing of the machine that I'm buying, the learning curve of using that machine, you know, the test cuts, trying to figure out the parameters, and then the building of the website for the business, as well as how I'm going to tackle the first army of ads I plan to put out. How am I going to advertise? How do I build hype? How do I build a pre-customer base? How do I build a... Well, yeah, just how do I build a customer base? So that will be episode 4. So I think that's it for today. I really don't like the way how this episode felt, but there has to be some sucky episodes so that there are good episodes. Like I said, today I didn't use a script, I just used a bullet point system, and I just kind of freeballed it today. Anyways, with that said, SS19, stay loose, stay loud, deuces.